There is a question that quietly lives in many hearts, a question whispered in the depths of the night, when the world is asleep and the soul is awake. Why do some of the most sincere believers struggle so much? Why do those who pray, who cry to Allah, who try to stay clean in a dirty world, live in poverty, in loneliness, in hardship? If you have ever asked this, know something first. Your question does not make you weak, it makes you human. Let us understand something very important. Allah does not measure His love by wealth. If riches were a sign of closeness, then the most beloved servants would have been kings. But many of the most beloved lived simple lives, faced rejection, hunger, isolation, and tears. This world was never meant to be a reward for the righteous. It is a test, and tests are designed according to strength. Allah gives heavy tests to strong hearts. Poverty is not always a punishment. Loneliness is not always abandonment. Sometimes they are protection. When Allah loves a servant deeply, He frees them from distractions. He removes the noise, He removes the crowds, so that the heart learns to lean only on Him. Think about it. When you have everything, you rarely look up. But when you have nothing, your hands are always raised. Some people are kept poor because wealth would have destroyed their humility. Some are kept alone because company would have corrupted their purpose. Allah knows who can handle comfort and who would drown in it. The chosen ones often walk alone because their path is not ordinary. Not everyone can walk beside someone whose heart belongs entirely to Allah. Loneliness sharpens sincerity. Silence builds depth. Pain purifies intention. In loneliness, you discover who you really are. In poverty, you discover who Allah really is. You learn that provision is not just money. Provision is peace. Provision is contentment. Provision is a heart that still says Alhamdulillah while breaking. Allah sometimes empties your hands to fill your heart. Look carefully. Some people are surrounded by crowds but feel empty. Others sit alone, yet their hearts are alive with faith. The world may overlook you. People may underestimate you. Your struggle may be invisible. But Allah sees every tear you hide, every prayer you whisper, every moment you choose patience over bitterness. And understand this, delayed ease is not denied ease. Allah is preparing something deeper than wealth, stronger than companionship. He is preparing a heart that cannot be shaken by loss, fame, or applause. So if you are poor, but honest, patient, and grateful, you are not forgotten. If you are lonely, but still holding on to your faith, you are not abandoned, you are being refined. And one day you will realize what you thought was deprivation was actually selection. Hardship is not rejection, it is selection. Poverty and loneliness are often signs of Allah's protection and preparation, not punishment. Allah tests strong hearts with heavy trials. Hardship is not a sign that Allah has abandoned you, nor is it a punishment for your deeds. Many people misunderstand the trials they face and assume that ease in life is proof of Allah's love, while difficulty is proof of His displeasure. The truth is far deeper than this. Allah tests His servants in ways that reflect their strength, their potential, and the purpose He has chosen for them. Those who are sincere, who strive to obey Him, who work hard to maintain their faith in a world full of distractions, often carry the heaviest burdens. Yet these burdens are not random. They are deliberate, measured, and purposeful. Just as a master craftsman carefully selects the right tools to shape a delicate piece of work, Allah carefully selects the trials for each believer to refine them, to strengthen them, and to prepare them for greatness in the sight of the Creator. When a person lives in poverty or experiences loneliness, it is easy to feel forgotten or rejected. The world measures success by wealth, status, and influence, and when one lacks these, society often treats them as if they are incomplete, as if their life is somehow less valuable. This worldly perspective can make a person question their own worth. But Allah's perspective is entirely different. He does not see you through the eyes of society. He sees your heart, your intention, your sincerity, and your patience. The chosen ones often endure hardship because Allah knows they can handle it, and because He wants to protect them from the distractions that abundance or constant company could bring. Wealth, popularity, and ease are blessings, but they can also become chains if the heart clings to them instead of clinging to Allah. In contrast, hardship has a way of freeing the soul. It removes the noise and the illusion, and it forces a person to turn inward, to reflect, and to reach outward to Allah in a way that comfort often prevents. Many prophets and righteous people throughout history lived lives that were outwardly simple, yet inwardly rich. Their struggles were visible to the world, yet they never complained about the apparent injustice of their circumstances. They understood a fundamental truth, that trials are not a punishment, but a privilege. Being chosen for hardship is a sign that Allah trusts you, that He believes in your ability to endure, and that He is preparing you for something greater than what you can see. The believer who lives in poverty and still remains grateful, who lives in loneliness and still turns to prayer, is showing a strength that those surrounded by ease may never reach. These trials, while difficult, are a form of divine selection, a way of saying, I am preparing you, I am shaping you, I am choosing you for my love and for my purpose. It is also important to understand that hardship teaches lessons that comfort cannot. When a person is forced to rely on Allah alone, they learn trust in a way that wealth and friends cannot provide. When one faces rejection, loneliness, or lack of material resources, their dependence on Allah becomes a necessity rather than a choice. This dependence builds resilience, patience, and humility. It helps the believer see beyond the temporary struggles of this world and focus on the eternal rewards that await those who remain steadfast. Poverty and loneliness, when approached with faith, become tools for refining the soul, clarifying priorities, and purifying intention. The moment a believer realizes that hardship is not a punishment, but a selection is transformative, it changes the way they approach life, the way they view people, and the way they pray. Gratitude becomes deeper, patience becomes stronger, and reliance on Allah becomes the foundation of every action. The chosen ones endure, not because life has favored them, but because Allah has chosen them. And while the world may not recognize their struggle, the Creator sees every tear, every prayer, and every act of perseverance. This realization brings peace, even amidst difficulty, and it helps the believer carry their burdens with dignity and trust, knowing that they are not alone, that their trials have a purpose, and that Allah's wisdom is far beyond what the mind can comprehend. In the end, hardship is a sign of selection, a mark of divine trust. It is proof that Allah has chosen you for His love, for His guidance, and for His eternal reward. It is not a reason to despair, but a reason to grow, to rely, and to shine from within, even when the world cannot see. Those who understand this find peace in the storm and light in the darkness, knowing that their struggle is meaningful, their heart is seen, and their life is guided by the one who never errs. Loneliness and poverty purify the heart. Being alone removes distractions, deepens sincerity, and strengthens reliance on Allah, turning pain into spiritual growth. Loneliness and poverty are not merely conditions of the body or circumstances of life. They are opportunities for the heart and the soul to grow in ways that ease and comfort cannot teach. Many people fear being alone, they fear isolation, and they fear the emptiness that comes when there is no one around to validate their existence. But in reality, loneliness is a gift from Allah to those whom He loves. It is a space in which the heart can speak freely to its Creator, a place where distractions fade and the soul can turn fully toward Him without obstruction. The chosen ones often experience loneliness not because they are forsaken, but because they are being prepared. Because Allah knows that true devotion flourishes when the heart has no other attachment stronger than its connection to Him. When a person is surrounded by constant companionship, it is easy to be influenced by the thoughts, desires, and actions of others. Company can shape behavior, sometimes subtly, so that the heart is pulled away from sincerity and dependence on Allah. But when one is alone, there is no one to impress, no one to please, and no one to distract from the pursuit of righteousness. Solitude encourages reflection. It allows the believer to examine their intentions, their weaknesses, and their hopes. In this silence, the heart begins to understand the meaning of trust, patience, and reliance. It is a space where a person can cultivate a deep and intimate relationship with Allah, one that is not diluted by the expectations or judgments of others. Poverty serves a similar purpose. When a person lacks material abundance, they are forced to confront the reality of dependence. They must learn to distinguish between what is necessary and what is merely desired. Poverty strips away the illusions of wealth, status, and worldly recognition. It teaches humility and gratitude, showing the believer that true provision is not found in gold or luxury, but in the presence and mercy of Allah. The chosen ones, through poverty, learn that happiness is not measured by the size of their bank account or the comforts of life, but by the contentment in the heart, the ability to remain grateful, and the capacity to trust that Allah will provide exactly what is needed at the right time. Loneliness and poverty, when approached with faith, are tools for strengthening sincerity. A person alone in hardship has no one to impress, no one to compete with, and no one to envy. They are left only with themselves and their Creator. In these moments, every prayer, every act of worship, and every moment of patience becomes an intimate conversation with Allah. The heart learns to speak without words, to cry without sound, and to find solace in a presence that is constant and unwavering. The chosen ones often discover that in these conditions, their relationship with Allah deepens, their understanding of life becomes clearer, and their intentions become purer. Many of the prophets and righteous people who came before us experienced this truth. They faced periods of isolation, rejection, and material deprivation. Yet, it was through these very trials that their hearts were strengthened and their faith refined. Loneliness gave them clarity, and poverty gave them humility. It is in these moments of apparent emptiness that the heart becomes fertile soil for the seeds of sincerity, patience, and trust. The believer learns to rely not on the applause of people, but on the approval of Allah alone. The chosen ones learn that the presence of others is not always a blessing, and the absence of wealth is not always a curse. Loneliness and poverty are instruments of refinement, shaping a heart that is unshakable, a character that is resilient, and a soul that is focused entirely on what is eternal rather than temporary. They teach lessons that comfort cannot: the value of patience, the importance of trust, and the depth of gratitude. When a person emerges from loneliness and poverty with a heart full of faith, they are stronger than those who have never known such trials. Their sincerity is genuine, their humility is real, and their connection to Allah is unbreakable. In the end, loneliness and poverty are not meant to harm the chosen ones. They are a divine strategy to purify the heart, to sharpen intention, and to draw the soul closer to its Creator. What the world sees as weakness is, in reality, strength being formed. What is mistaken for abandonment is, in reality, divine care. Those who endure with patience, gratitude, and devotion discover that in the emptiness, the soul is never truly alone. Allah is present, guiding, comforting, and preparing them for a life that is meaningful beyond what the world can measure. Through loneliness and poverty, the chosen ones are trained to become steadfast, sincere, and spiritually rich, even when outwardly they may appear to have little. May Allah make us among those who recognize His wisdom in hardship, trust Him in silence, and remain grateful in every condition. Ameen.